We can't miss that. Okay, what's going on, everybody? We're going to try this again. It is this week at the Chamber. I forgot that I had queued up some clips from last week. We were just talking about Melissa driving the trash truck, the Orion truck. I mean, well, we all drove it, but we can't miss those. So let's show you what happened last week. Lloyd and I were out of the office, but had a lot of fun and got a lot of stuff done. So here it is.
Yeah, let's jump into this week. Again, lots of stuff going on, and we're going to start today at 5:30 with the Razorback Road Show. Hey, we've got Coach Pittman coming over to tell us about how great the Razorbacks are going to do this fall. We're excited. 5:30 p.m. at the Durand Center, free to all. If you haven't registered, just plan on showing up. It's going to be a great opportunity to call the Hogs. And tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, we've got our May directors meeting. Lots to cover. In fact, we've had 2 board resignations, one by moving and one by retirement. So the board's going to take action to fill those 2 director positions tomorrow. And again, set the course for the rest of the year for a busy Chamber of Commerce.
Yep. And shortly after that, Amy and I are both sitting in on I think they call it Community Conversations. It's a series of conversations that CDI at UCA has been doing. You know, we've been working with them with strategic doing, which is, you'll see, is down there on the bottom of the agenda this week. But this thing tomorrow, right after the board meeting, is about building entrepreneurial ecosystems. Gosh, that's hard to say. But we're going to learn a little bit more about how we can continue to strengthen and support our entrepreneurs, our small businesses, our startups. Startup Junkie was here last week, and lots of good stuff going on. So then we get down to the last one there. That's UCA and strategic doing. That is the community catalyst. That's the survey. That's the community partnerships and everything else that's been happening kind of since, what was that? Was that spring of 2020, shortly before COVID? We got recognized for that, and we had all the work going on. People, if you've been following what we're doing here, you already know about it. So
it's again a busy week, thanks to Lloyd and Wilson and Amy and Marie. Got a lot going on. Again, all for our community, and we're blessed to be here and serve you guys.
Yep. And lastly, our guest this week is actually going to be Lloyd and I, but Lloyd's our operations manager. He's the smiling face that you see when you walk in the front door of the Chamber. Him and I got to go to Branson for the MAKO conference. MAKO is Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas, and Oklahoma, with chambers of commerce from all over. So talk a little bit about some of our top takeaways, and we'll get to that conversation right after we recognize some people celebrating milestones with us here at the Chamber. So Lloyd, you and I, we both went to, I was just telling everybody, we just went to MAKO. There were quite a few people there, right there in Branson, close to home. Tell me what was your takeaway? What did you enjoy it? What did you like? What did you not like?
I'm glad you asked. That was well worth the time. I've never been, and that was a 3-day event at Branson, which has a wonderful convention center. The amenities there, the facility, the breakout rooms were nice. The seating, it was all comfortable. It was just a nice place. It wasn't crowded, but the fact that I got to talk to other chamber members was probably the most important takeaway. breakout sessions to me were the really best part of it. You got to pick and choose the events you went to, and I picked a couple of them I thought were quite informative.
I've talked to a couple of people, just people were asking how it was going. I actually said the opposite of what you said. You liked the breakout sessions. I think that for me personally, I think that the networking with other people in our industry and learning from kind of some of their best practices was the most valuable to me. You mentioned your breakout sessions. What was one that stuck out to you? I know you went with Jim Fram. He was one of the presenters. Was that one that stuck out to you?
Jim Fram was one of the 3 presenters at the economic development session. That was really, really informative. ED is what we do. It's what chambers do. I did notice some of the Q&A throughout some of the sessions. There's a number of chambers, a lot more than I thought, that do everything. They do the economic development, and they do all the public events, fireworks shows and parades and all. So I feel blessed that at least at our chamber, we don't have to deal with anything but economic development. There were some really good questions about housing, about how to bring businesses in, how to encourage them, industrial parks, where do you do that? Do you have a location to do that? And what kind of ventures are out there possible to encourage businesses to come in, and while you're sustaining and supporting the businesses that are already here. One of the other things, Wilson, too, I liked was I had a breakout session with a lady from Tulsa, and it was DEI. It was all it was an interesting approach, and I really liked the way she presented that to the group. She was very down to earth and very common sense. And that was really beneficial to me personally. I like that.
I think that I sat in there with you, and one thing that stuck with me was just maybe the reminder of diversity is more than race. Sure. And some of my notes of things that I've got ideas for that we need to focus on are talking about our community here of women in business, talking about our young professionals, highlighting our entrepreneurs, those sort of things. I think that plays right into the diversity, equity, inclusion conversation of making sure that we're doing a good job or an intentional effort of highlighting our women in business and highlighting our young professionals in a way that's including them in these conversations. And you talked a little bit about, you sat in on the economic development one. One of the guys who presented there, I think he also was in that breakout session, but the guy who did, Roger Brooks, he talked about the community development trends and what people are looking for when they look to move to a community. People used to move to where the jobs were. But that's no longer the case because people can work from anywhere. So people move where they want to live, and then they'll figure out the job part after, whether it's working from home or they'll start a business or whatever. They said this is the first time he feels like community development has ever led economic development.
He's from Kansas, in a small town in Kansas, and he gave an example of a big company wanting to bring in jobs to that community. And they did all the song and dance beforehand, presentations, invited the corporate leader, the president, to come in. He flew in. First thing he did was take me to the hospital. The second thing he did was take me to the school. And the third thing he did was drive me through downtown. And after all that, Roger asked the question, so why don't you, and he said, here's the deal. If I'm setting up a company, spending money to bring the company to your town, my employees want to be happy. I'm looking for the quality of life. What does this town offer as far as quality of life? Kind of got the attention of people in the room.
So lots of good stuff.
Yes, sir.
We're back, and we're back in action here at the chamber today. But yeah, I think that was well worth our time. I think that's what you said right in the beginning. I could not agree more. So
absolutely, a lot of good ideas we can bring to this community.
Lloyd, thanks for being our special guest.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
If you don't know Lloyd, you need to get to know Lloyd. He's good people.
Thank you.